Today we have a strong geomagnetic storm that is going to impact this whole weekend. Several solar flares are going to weaken the magnetic field and we're going to be really feeling the energy. Perhaps we may see even more aurora borealises. And starting yesterday, Mercury retrograde shadow phase has begun. Now, what does this mean for you? Let me know in the comments if this energy is affecting you. What are you feeling? So a very large buildup in energies, especially because we're getting that shadow phase of Mercury retrograde. So we're gonna be feeling the calm before the storm. So this is the pre-shadow phase, but expect to see some communication disruptions, and that could be minor glitches, either electrical, technological, emotional, or physical. So your daily routines are going to be switching up here. And there's also going to be delays in travel plans. There's going to be emerging cycles of these old patterns that are going to come to the surface. And Mercury retrograde is going to attempt to emerge these things and bring them into the light. So the past is going to resurface. Old memories, whether they have to deal with people or situations, are going to be brought up to the forefront. However, there's going to be opportunities that are presented to yourself, and there's going to be some lessons that need learned from this. So what lessons can you learn from this phase? Number one, you can resolve communication issues. Number two, you need to do some essential self-care while Mercury retrograde is going to be stationed directly. And number three, you need to remain calm. You need to stay neutral and balanced to navigate any of these energies for a smoother transition. So if you need to back up some essential important data, make sure you're doing it now, because we're going to have some minor electrical and technological glitches with communication. So remember, the shadow period started yesterday. It will be stationed retrograde here on August 4th. And this is going to be right before the Lionsgate portal on August 8th. So we're getting that serious gateway portal energy that is closing now, right before we open up a whole new can of worms. Let's talk about the energies that are for today, because they're going to start building up, especially before this weekend. Our moon is in Sagittarius today. It's going to be slightly quieter in energies today before this weekend energies really amp up. So today, expect a renewing, a refreshing energy, especially when it comes to your goals, your visions, and your dreams. Because that optimism and confidence is going to help us push through that determined Sagittarius energy. This is going to take us to whole new levels, and it's going to help us dream big. It will be pushing us to create more changes in order for the new reality to manifest itself. Reframing our minds as to what aspects are the most important in our lives, and to create new understandings and truths within current situations. And remember, this is collectively and individually. But we're having some really big spikes on our Schumann right now, so let's get into that prior to getting into the strong geomagnetic storm that's gonna affect you this weekend. So wow, woke up this morning, what is this huge spike that we have here in Tomsk, Russia? These sensors are just going off of the hook. So are you feeling dizzy? Are you feeling nauseous? Are you having head pressure? Are you getting tingles throughout your body? Are you feeling bliss energies? Let me know. Our amplitude is only at an 8 and our frequency is a little bit low at a 7.73. But let's get into Tomsk, Russia's weather. Because as you know, if there are thunderstorms that are over that area with sensors, guess what? It's going to create those spikes. So unfortunately, those spikes that you see in the Schumann resonance are due to a very strong storm that was over Tomsk, Russia. Now, throughout the week, the weather is going to be about the same, because that area is presented with a lot of thunderstorms. So watch the Schumann, see if there's spikes that come up Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and Monday. It might continue to rain. So our ionosphere can be very electrically charged during this time. So make sure that you are checking on the Schumann this weekend to see if those thunderstorms are in fact affecting the Schumann resonance spikes. But let's get into the solar weather, because it has reached high active levels. We have had several M-class flares, and we also had 3738 that was throwing that X1.9 flare, almost that X2. This followed with a strong R3 radio blackout, a type 2 and a type 4 radio sweep. We also have multiple other regions that are throwing us a lot of energy. We have 3753 that is giving us some M-class flares. We also have 3743 that is also giving us M-class flares. So let's take a look at the sun. Our sun is peppered with 16 sunspot regions today. We're going to take a look at 3738 that is already headed off of the western limb of the sun. We're going to look at 3744, which is right next to it, and 3743, which is right below. Now here's a more in-depth look so you can see exactly what those regions on the sun look like. They look a little complicated, so let's get into it. This is region 3738. It is in beta, delta, and gamma range, making it highly magnetically complex. It was very large in size, and it also produced a CME. Now in our SOHO LASCO C2 imagery, it did show this coronal mass ejection that was ejected off of the western limb of the sun, but it shows no Earth-directed components due to the position and location that this region is in. We can say bye-bye to 3738. Now let's take a look at 3743 because this region gave us an M5 flare quickly after it also presented an M3.5. Now it's only in beta range, however, this imagery suggests that there was a plasma ejecta. It also sent us into a type 2 and a type 4 radio sweep, which we are currently still in. Data analysis is still ongoing to see if there is any Earth-directed components to this, because if there are, that geomagnetic storm this weekend, along with a full moon on the 21st, is going to bring a potency to the whole energy. Now let's take a look at 3744. This is region 3744, and although it may not look like anything and it's still in beta range and still decreasing in its size, it produced an M1.9 flare. Following that, another type 2 and another type 4 radio sweep. Now it may not look like much, but this is the cause of the strong geomagnetic storm coming this weekend. So come midday on the 20th, we're expected to see the first shock arrival, followed by early on the 21st, we're going to see the second shock arrival. Now remember that 3743 that we just went over with the M5 flare still being analyzed for those Earth-directed components can really cause a major disruption, creating a stronger geomagnetic storm than expected. Meaning you're going to feel this electrically, mentally, spiritually, physically, and don't forget emotionally, especially with the full moon coming up on the 21st. With the bombardment of all of those M-class flares and the X-class flares, we have weakened our magnetic field, giving into those type 2 and type 4 radio blackouts a lot easier. So when it's weak, we can be penetrated quite a bit, and we're still in those radio blackouts right now. So they're going to continuously pulse with that absorption. You're going to feel the energy. Yet again, communication issues, navigation, GPS, and cognitive problems. But currently we're having some waning CME influences. Now there was a gradual increase near 400 kilometers per second, getting us into those KP3 ranges, not into the KP4, which is those active geomagnetic levels. The 18th midday to into the later evening hours, their conditions are going to enhance. Now this is due to the onset of a negative polarity. It's going to dip down, and we can expect to see some quiet to unsettled conditions later on. But remember, we have geomagnetic storms that are going to be heading our way the whole weekend. And here's another thing, a massive coronal hole that is now Earth facing. So any of those M-class flares have a stream set right into Earth, causing more of these geomagnetic storms and the potency to increase. So get ready for an energetic weekend. Let me know if you guys are feeling the energy now, because these CMEs are on their way. So there's a strong buildup of energy already presented from Saturday's timeline shift continuing now. Mercury retrograde shadow phase has started, setting us up for that Lionsgate portal. And remember, today we're refreshing and renewing, creating optimism and confidence to build new dreams and visions. What are yours? I'm Sarah Starr. This is your space weather forecast for the day. Love ya.